countries going deeper and deeper, deeper into debt. At the same time, they're buying more and more gold and bringing it all home. Bang, they revalue gold. Just like that. There will come a time where they revalue gold and gold skyrockets, making their balance sheet from putrid to solvent. Just like that. Because right now, the gold held in that gold revaluation account is not able to be counted as an asset against a liability. If they revalue it and change it to where it is now an asset on their balance sheet, everyone's balance sheet goes from upside down to perfect. Gold is now an asset that can be held in your own borders for the new unit currency traded on the mBridge. Do you see how this becomes very serious very quickly?
The link between mBridge, BRICS, and an alternative to the petrodollar has gained prominence, especially as the Saudi central bank joined the mBridge project while ending the 80-year-old petrodollar agreement. Analysts speculate that Saudi Arabia might shift from using the US dollar for oil and trade transactions to the yuan, a CBDC, or another gold-backed digital currency. mBridge, an alternative to SWIFT, tackles inefficiencies and sanction enforcement issues by allowing central banks to manage their own sanctions lists. It offers more flexibility and resistance to geopolitical pressures than SWIFT's centralized control. By enabling transactions without relying on the dollar, mBridge reduces risks from sanctions and currency fluctuations, appealing to countries aiming to diversify financial dependencies and increase autonomy in global economics. According to market analyst Andy Schectman, the BRICS nations are developing a new currency system tied to gold through Project mBridge, aiming to operate outside the traditional SWIFT framework. This initiative is supported by the Bank of International Settlements, which has reclassified gold as a Tier 1 reserve asset, highlighting gold's central role in future economic systems. Since 2017, BRICS countries have significantly increased their gold reserves through large-scale purchases and repatriations. For instance, in the first 4 months of this year alone, India bought 1.5 times the amount of gold it purchased throughout the previous year. Now, a full participant in Project mBridge, Saudi Arabia, has also been repatriating its gold. This strategic accumulation of gold alongside rising debt levels, which are more than $34 trillion, indicates preparation for a potential revaluation of gold. Such a revaluation would transform gold from a dormant asset into a powerful tool for financial solvency, dramatically improving the balance sheets of these nations. Andy sees that this shift could occur suddenly, causing gold prices to skyrocket. A revaluation of gold would have profound implications for the dollar's role in global settlements and the bond market's status as a reserve asset. We will present clips from Andy Schectman's interview. But before we do, if you want more videos like this, please hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell for more updates. Thank you, and enjoy the video.
You know, the head of the Dutch National Bank said, our balance sheet is going negative, but I really don't worry too much about it because we have the gold and the gold revaluation account. And although we can't use it as an asset against a liability, we know it's there. Now, basically first of all, let me clarify. Gold held in central bank balance sheets is called the gold revaluation account. It's in the gold revaluation account, which is a very interesting name for an account for which they hold all of their gold. What Roosevelt did over my shoulder, he revalued gold by devaluing the dollar. And I find it interesting that so many of these central banks are accumulating gold at the level that they are, along with accumulating so much debt at the same time. Massive amounts of debt, massive amounts of gold accumulation. And there's one other piece, and that is, 30 countries or so who have repatriated their gold, considered safety. That would be the Bank of the Federal Reserve Bank in New York and the Bank of England, which would by proxy give access to the COMEX and the metals exchange in London, the LBMA. And if you think about it, now that we've been told that the new unit currency, which is the BRICS default currency, which it looks like they are going to run with, according to Delma Rousseff, the head of the BRICS New Development Bank, realizing that Project mBridge is the vehicle by which they'll trade. And who's part of the Project mBridge? The Bank of International Settlements. What did the Bank of International Settlements do? Oh, that's right. They reclassified gold as the world's only other Tier 1 reserve asset. Now, that all of these countries who have been told not only to buy gold. And if you go back to 2017, as we've talked about, these banks have been massively accumulating gold copiously. So for the past 8 years or so, and maybe longer, and or 7. Anyways, but repatriating their gold is just as big of a deal. We talked about India buying 1.5 times the amount of gold that they bought in all of last year, just in the first 4 months of this year, and repatriating it. All of the countries bringing their gold back from the New York Fed, including Saudi Arabia, who is a full participant in Project mBridge. Now, follow me. I'm coming full circle with this. All of these countries accumulating gold. At the same time, they know what's coming, so they're accumulating wicked amounts of debt, right? What did the guy say, the head of the central bank say for the Dutch National Bank? Oh, yeah, we're okay because we got the gold in the gold revaluation account. Kind of slipped there, right? So you think all of these countries going deeper and deeper, deeper into debt. At the same time, they're buying more and more gold and bringing it all home. Bang, they revalue gold. Just like that. There will come a time where they revalue gold and gold skyrockets, making their balance sheet from putrid to solvent, just like that. Because right now, the gold held in that gold revaluation account is not able to be counted as an asset against a liability. If they revalue it and change it to where it is now an asset on their balance sheet, everyone's balance sheet goes from upside down to perfect. Gold is now an asset that can be held in your own borders for the new unit currency traded on the mBridge. Do you see how this becomes very serious very quickly for the settlement status of the dollar and the reserve status of the bond market? And when you talk about little by little by little by little by little by little, and then someday all at once, it is so clear that it's in front of us, yet no one's really putting all these dots together. To me, it makes great sense.
The BRICS group of nations has endorsed a plan to establish a grain exchange, as Russian Agriculture Minister Oksana Lut announced on Friday. This initiative, supported by Russian President Vladimir Putin ahead of an upcoming BRICS summit in October, aims to enable direct purchasing from producers. Reuters reports that Lut is committed to collaborating with fellow members to develop this platform, emphasizing the use of national currencies within BRICS for settlements. According to Andy, the BRICS countries, key grain exporters, currently lack influence over global agricultural prices. The proposed BRICS grain exchange aims to change this. For example, Brazil uses Project mBridge to sell corn and soybeans to China in yuan, bypassing SWIFT. The yuan is then converted into gold via the Shanghai Gold Exchange, using kilobars from COMEX. China's strategic investments further underscore its pivotal role in global commodities. Besides dominating the production and refining of rare earth metals, China has acquired the London Metals Exchange, LME, and established warehouses to store LME-traded metals. This move complements the upcoming BRICS expansion, which includes nations with strategic shipping lanes and abundant resources. This expansion signals major shifts in global trade and economic strategies.
You need to understand, you need to listen to the verbiage here in the statement, because it's the exact same thing that they understand with the commodity markets. And this is why we're seeing so many deliveries. And I'll answer this question in a moment, but just like we're seeing all of the gold heading to Hong Kong. Remember, the CME group created a contract in 2015 that allows for exchange for physical to be delivered to BRICS Hong Kong, which is a COMEX vault. And they only keep taking kilo gold bars, ironically. No, it's not, because the Shanghai Gold Exchange trades in kilo bars. The COMEX trades in 100-ounce bars, although their mini contract is kilo bars. So when you see, 500 plus million in gold delivered to BRICS Hong Kong in an exchange for physical, that's being trucked over to the Shanghai Gold Exchange. They are using the suppression of the Western market against us and standing for delivery. We just saw the other day another huge delivery coming out of the June contract for gold. It was 30,000 gold contracts were delivered off of COMEX in the June contract, 30,000 times 100 ounces. We continue to see drawdowns in the exchanges because the world understands this is how they win the game. The countries that are standing for delivery now never did. It is the standing for delivery, the coordination, sophistication, wealth, being cunning enough and understanding enough to understand this is how you beat the West, by standing for delivery in these exchanges. Well, The same thing would be true in respect with the BRICS grain exchange. And I'm going to read something to you here so people understand, they get what's happening, and they're using this leverage against us. They say the BRICS grain exchange is likely to change the face of the world grain market tremendously. And this is according to the Russian officials. The existing global grain market infrastructure was formed following the Second World War, when U.S. wheat and corn exports dominated the market, the ministry said. Although U.S. exports no longer play the role they used to, global prices are primarily determined by the Chicago Commodity Exchange. Moscow seeks to move away from trading grain for U.S. dollars in favor of the national currencies of the BRICS member states. The ministry insists that the BRICS countries are the largest grain producers and exporters, but have no leverage to influence the price of the agricultural commodities critical for their food security. The BRICS Commodity Exchange will solve this problem. But this is the point here. The same thing will be true. Look, they now have a commodity exchange, which would be for things like corn and soybean and wheat. Well, what's Brazil doing right now? They're the second largest exporter of corn in the world. They're selling corn and soybeans to China for yuan over the project mBridge, sidestepping SWIFT and probably sending that yuan back and converting it into gold on the Shanghai Gold Exchange. Probably those same kilo bars that came off the COMEX. So they're doing that. But what did China do? They bought the LME, the London Metals Exchange, the base metals, right? We've talked about how all of the countries joining the BRICS or the Shanghai Cooperation Organization or the Belt Road Initiative are massively rich in commodities, right? So they're buying the LME, which is base metals. They're draining the exchange in precious metals. And by the way, the LME, which the Chinese own, even though the exchange is in the UK, they're now building warehouses in China to warehouse the metals that are traded on the LME in China. So they're knee deep in base metals, copper, zinc, all that kind of stuff. They are building a grain exchange. There was a report that JP Morgan just came out with, said that they produce 70 to 80% of all the rare earth metals, but they refine 100% of all the rare earth metals. So you got that base covered. They came out and said that this new BRICS endeavor those countries that will be admitted in October will be very strategic in terms of their shipping lanes and their trade routes on top of their natural resources.
With Saudi Arabia potentially shifting away from the US dollar for oil transactions and BRICS nations increasing their gold reserves, we might see a new gold-backed currency system emerge. This shift, facilitated by Project mBridge, would allow for more autonomous and flexible financial transactions, reducing reliance on the dollar and mitigating risks associated with sanctions and currency fluctuations. Consequently, gold's value could surge, transforming it into a central asset for financial stability and reshaping global trade and economic practices. Share your thoughts on Andy's prediction in the comment section below. Also, ensure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos like this. Until next time.